We're Just Got Played, and we are gaming through the alphabet. So what does that mean? We're going down the alphabet, and we are telling you, each one of us, our favorite published game that starts with that letter, and then we're also telling you the highest rated game on BoardGameGeek that starts with that letter. So this is our 6th video. We've done 5 before this. Look in the description below to find the videos that came before this one, but we're going to do P, Q, and R today. I'm really excited to see what everybody did for Q, because not a lot of Q games out there, I don't think. But all right, I will turn it over to Erock.
Excellent. It's time for useless trivia. So we're doing PQR. As everybody I'm sure knows, the letters SPQR actually stand for Senatus Populus Romanus, which is the Senate and the Roman people, or traditionally just shorthanded to mean Rome. So anyway, moving on to PQR, let's kick this party off with Babe. Babe, what do you got for the letter P for us today?
For the letter P, I want to look at my list here. Yeah, okay, I just found the letter P. I was looking, I couldn't find it, but I knew what I picked, but I had to make sure. That was probably one of the smaller games on my list, Parade. So Parade is a fun card game where you are, it's Alice in Wonderland characters, and the cards get lined up, and you have to place somebody into the parade. It's been a little bit since I've played, but basically you end up taking people who match your color and are a number that's lower than the card you played or something like that. And then at the end of the game, I think it does like scoring, like we're one of those where if you've got the most of, say, blue, then you score less in blue or something like that. You only score your top card, your bottom card, something like one of those kinds of scoring mechanisms. But yeah, it's a pretty quick game, but it's always a lot of fun. It's pretty easy to teach, and people have a lot of fun playing it. And I love the characters because it's Alice in Wonderland. So yeah, Parade.
How is the art on that?
I like it, but it's easy to love Alice in Wonderland, Yeah,
I feel like you could be all over the board with Alice in the Wonderland art. So I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like she said, not very long. It's not that complicated. There's like 3 rules you got to remember, which will confuse you for a minute as you're like, wait, do I count higher or do I count lower, or which ones do I take? But as soon as you get that locked up, it's a pretty easy game. Flows, everybody has fun. I agree. Good P, Babe. Okay. Let's roll right on to Steven. Steven, what is your letter P for us today?
All right. Well, I'm going to be the first one to jump out and do an honorable mention here, because I just got to say, every time I'm thinking about games, do my top 100 or the letter P or whatever, I just have to give a shout out to poker. And I did a shout out to this in our Gaming Through Time, right? So, and I host a charity poker tournament every year. So I get that one big poker experience every year, and it's always a good time. It's a party. So specifically Texas Hold'em poker, I really enjoy. But anyway, just a shout out to poker. It is not my P game, though. I'm going with an Alexander Pfister game. I think it's Alexander Pfister's, right? So, he's usually known for his heavy games, right? Great Western Trail and Maracaibo, but I really like Port Royal.
Okay.
All right. So Port Royal is a card game. And it's a push your luck game. So on your turn, you're flipping these cards and different ships are coming up. And what you really want to do is you want to stop flipping cards when a lot of cards are out there. And in fact, if there are a lot of different colored ships out there, it gives you a bonus because you can take more cards. But if 2 ships of the same color come up, your turn is over and you don't get anything. But it's also interesting because you want other cards out there because people after you get a chance to buy the cards that you had left on the table, and you get a cut of that, right? So it's a really simple push your luck game, and it's all cards because the cards where you can use coins to buy things that give you sort of special abilities, or you can buy things that give you victory points, and if you flip those cards over, it's just coins on the back, and those are the currency that you use. And that's sort of interesting too, because cards are taken out of circulation as people's coins. You don't really know what's out of circulation, so you could be hoping to get some specific thing, but it's buried in somebody's money stack at the moment, until they spend that money. So anyway, it's a light card game, and I played this at Escape WinterCon a few years ago, back in 2020, I think. And sort of immediately fell in love with this game, and we played it a bunch, and I got a copy of it. And they just recently released a big box, which has a bunch of the expansions and stuff in it. So that's pretty good value if you're, interested in going a little deeper or wider with this game, more stuff in there. But anyway, yeah, Port Royal, my P game.
Excellent. While you were talking, I actually looked it up on BoardGameGeek, and you are correct. That is an Alexander Pfister. So 1 point for Steven tonight. He's now in the lead. Excellent. Jim Jam, Mr. JJ, what do you have for us for the letter P?
My turn?
Indeed.
Yay. Hey, Steven, you ever heard of, do you know when to hold them?
I know when to fold them.
When to fold them?
When to walk away?
That's good.
I know when to run,
that
too.
This year, and I got my invite for the charity tournament. I'm looking forward to that. I like poker as well, so it's always a great game. Let's see. I do not have an honorable mention for this game, for my P, but I do in the other ones. And I'm actually going to continue over from the O's from the last video and name another bag builder. This one is Puzzle Strike.
Okay.
Actually, right here. I like this because just like with Orleans, you are building a bag. But in this case, you're not doing anything except for fighting. If anybody knows about the Puzzle Strike and the Puzzle Strike universe, it started out as a mobile game with, if nobody knows that one, Bejeweled, Dr. Mario, Puzzle Fighters from way back in the 90s. So this is basically that, Puzzle Fighters in a board game version. So you're starting out with chips in a bag, similar to the little disc in Orleans, and you start out with gems. Gems are used to fight and buy stuff. So it's a little bit different of a bag builder because you don't want to get rid of all your gems, which is your purchasing power. Like in most bag builders or deck builders, you actually want to get bigger gems because when you send them over to your opponent, which is the basis of the game, you're sending your gems over to your opponent if you're not buying with them. And they have to get rid of them before their little area fills up. So if anybody's played Tetris, anybody? Tetris people? Yeah. Okay. You don't want to get your little column there all the way up to the top. Otherwise you lose. So that's basically what Puzzle Strike did. You have your player board and you have their little Tetris Bejeweled column there, and you're trying to get rid of the gems out of your column and send them over to your opponent to fill theirs up. It is player elimination. I'm not so much in the elimination part. So whenever I play, it's usually the first one out is the loser. And then everybody else, you kind of see who has the least amount of gems, and the one with the least, has low score, like golf, is the winner. So your player that you have is, they have asymmetrical powers. So certain discs have different powers on them. And then when you draw them out of your bag, you could use that power if it's not a gem. And then there's different gems you can buy to increase your bag and make it a little bit better. They give you different powers. But yeah, basis of the game, get the bigger gems, send them over to your opponents. You win.
Excellent. Puzzle Strike. We have that, babe.
Yes, we do. I love that game.
Excellent.
Sweet. I have known nobody else to have this game, so that's pretty good. It's another game we need to add to the list to play when we all get together.
Indeed.
Yes.
It's in our collection of 9,732 games. So excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to jump now to Mr. Lloyd Kochinka. What do you like for the letter P? Whoa, a little technical problem there. Sorry about that. Anyway, where were we? Lloyd, what is your letter P?
My letter P, before the technical break, was one of the many versions of Pandemic I have. I have World of Warcraft Pandemic. I have Pandemic Rise of Cthulhu. But I think the one that I like the most, which I think BGG likes the most, is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I have Season 2 here. I haven't started yet, but I just picked that up on sale like a month ago. But Season 1 is essentially you are playing 12 months of Pandemic. each game is in a campaign, right? It's a legacy, so you're going to be ripping stuff up, putting stickers on stuff, changing the board. And it follows, the very first game follows normal Pandemic up until a point. And during that point, something changes. And that's where kind of the storyline kicks off. You're going to play 12 months, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 24 games, depending on how well you do. I think we played about 20 or 21 games. And essentially, it follows the basic rules of Pandemic. But as the game progresses, it's going to constantly introduce more and more things. And I mean, are we far enough in that I can say stuff like?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about spoilers.
7 years.
You could just go, hey, spoilers. Skip to the next one if you don't want to hear spoilers. All right.
Well, I'll try to avoid spoilers until the end. But basically, it's going to add stuff in every month. And depending on how well you do, you will either get some extra perk cards that are going to help you throughout the month, or they're going to take some away to make it a little bit harder if you start really coasting through. The game is filled with all kinds of twists and turns, and you're going to lose characters. Like, we lost our medic, I think, on like the third game. Wow. So the rest of the scenarios became very difficult, and we basically had to take one of those custom characters that are blank and kind of mold them into a makeshift medic so that we could keep going. But like I said, you're going to have 12 months. Each month is going to introduce a slightly different goal that you need to accomplish. Sometimes there's going to be characters that you're using that you're not going to be able to use because of some twist or turn in the gameplay, or you may play around and realize that the character you're using isn't really suited for the new twist that they threw at you. So some characters are better at putting up roadblocks or building bases or doing military action stuff. And you might lose the month because you couldn't, you weren't using the specialist that you needed to really take advantage of what you need to do. So you're going to, I forget how many characters are in the game, but you're going to basically build those characters up throughout the campaign. You're going to give them scars whenever they get hurt. And if they take too many scars, they die. You can build relationships with other characters in the game so that way they can help each other out. And it all culminates in this big grandiose story that at the end of the game, you've either won or lost. And you've gotten this full story, whether you've won or you lost, you've got the story. And then it has like a log on the back where you keep track of what happened every month. And they've done quite a few other legacy games since then. The only downside that I had to this is that once you're done, you're done. The game is pretty much unplayable. There are other legacy games that are playable after you finish. This isn't one of them. But I think I played that game pretty much more than any of the other versions of Pandemic I own, just because we played every week. Sometimes we played 2 in a week if we did really terrible and needed to win, or if we won and wanted to move on to the next month. So yeah, we knocked it out in, I think, like 21 games. We didn't do great, but we didn't do terrible. I mean, we won in the end. It came down to the last couple turns.
It's all that matters, right? You won in the end.
So yeah, that was my P, which seemed fairly obvious. Pandemic Legacy. I mean, if you watched any of the videos we've done, I've mentioned Pandemic, different versions of Pandemic multiple times. I like the system. So that's my P.
It is a very successful franchise.
Indeed. I have a feeling you did cross over with the geek. Stephen, why don't you open that envelope for us?
So you did mention that you thought Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was the most popular of the Pandemics. You are correct. It is one of the most popular games on BoardGameGeek, one of the highest rated.
It's still in the top 5, right?
I might still be number 2. I don't even know. But yeah, it's in the single digits. And it is indeed the highest rated P game on BoardGameGeek.
And not to keep everybody in suspense, that's also my P game as well. If like like Lloyd said, if you've seen us talk on the channel a number of times, you've probably seen me talk about Pandemic Legacy also. It was kind of hard for me. Here's my honorable mention, shoe-ins, but when I looked at P, 3 games immediately came to mind. Pandemic Legacy, Power Grid, and Puerto Rico. Those are all like powerhouse classics for me, my gaming group, and just the way we evolved back into the hobby. But at the end of the day, Pandemic Legacy is just such an excellent experience. It's just something that, like, I can't remember what happened when I played Puerto Rico, but I can remember what happened in Pandemic Legacy. There's things you're never going to forget. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm on that bandwagon too. And since I'm in charge, that's 1 point for me and Lloyd and the Geek for matching each other. Now we're all tied with Steve. That's right.
You don't remember that one time when Tiffany chose captain and you couldn't get any of your corn on the boat? Come on.
Oh yeah, that time. Awesome. So that pretty much wraps up our P section. And now we go on to what might be the hardest letter in the whole alphabet. And that is going to be the letter Q. So I'll tell you what, I was the last one to speak, so I'll kick this one off. For me, this was incredibly hard. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd like to play QE. I'd like to play Quacks of Quedlinburg, but I haven't. So my Q game is Quarriors. That's
a good one.
It's a good game. For those of you that really don't go that far back into the hobby, this was Dice Masters before Dice Masters. And quite frankly, I like it better. I played Dice Masters, but it just turned into Magic at a point where, no, you can't use that card. That card's not powerful enough. And if you played with the things that you like, you just sit there and get beat all day because that's not how it's like Magic. You can't just put some cards together you like and play. You're going to get beat all day. And that's what Dice Masters turned into me. That's why Quarriors is awesome, because everybody uses the same stuff out of one box. It's an even playing field, but it's the same good game. I very much like Quarriors. The first time we played it was me, Babe, and Steve. It was just kind of our like, well, we got time for one more game. Let's pull this thing off the shelf. And it was really good. So that's my Q game is Quarriors. Everybody else played?
I remember that experience because that was at a dingy local game store that I haven't been back to since.
I was like, let's meet up at this random place. I was like, okay. Right. Oh, yes, pointing at it. That's what I'm talking about. Excellent. Awesome. So that's my Q. Let's roll to Jim Jam. JJ, what is your Q game?
Well, I didn't have that much trouble with Q, actually. One honorable mention I would like to say is Qwirkle. I actually just played it this year. Surprisingly, not surprisingly, for the first time. And I liked it. I'm a huge set collection kind of guy, and being able to play a game that's really easy to teach and then everybody can play and you can get multiple people. And I just like saying Qwirkle too. Qwirkle, put it in there. That's actually my favorite thing. But that is my honorable mention. And for my Q, it's going to be another bag builder. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Quarriors. You stole my thunder.
Yay! We got that. That's all right. That's a point for you and me. There you go.
Sitting right here. There it is right there. I only have the base set because nobody likes playing this game with me. So let's add that to another game to our list that we need to play when we get together. I enjoyed Quarriors. It was very simple for my gaming group. They like something a little bit more complicated, I guess. I don't know. They just didn't like it. They are a Legendary fan group there, Lloyd. So that tells you something. They like Legendary. They didn't like Quarriors. They kind of slept on it. But I know there's a bunch of expansions. I haven't gotten to play any of the expansions because I only get to play the base game with new people. But I'm looking forward to playing the expansions in this. So hopefully we can play that and do something with it.
Yeah, it sounds fun. That's awesome. All right. We already have a crossover on Q. I guess that makes sense, kind of. Okay, let's go on to Lloyd. You are tall enough to be in the middle. What is your Q game?
So I forgot about Quarriors until about 15 minutes before we started the video. I was like, I played Quarriors quite a few times at Cool Stuff after, I lost hard on Magic.
Whoa! It's stormy today in Florida. Sorry about that, everybody. So, right back to it. Lloyd, as I say, is tall enough to be in the middle. So, what is your game for the letter Q?
Okay, I'm going to burn through it real quick before the rain comes back. Quarriors was a runner-up I used to play it at Cool Stuff after I would get bounced out of a Magic the Gathering draft or Standard and lost. And that was a quick game to go to. But I forgot about it, and it's been like 7 years since I played it. So instead, I went with one that hits the table quite often because I can play it with my mom when she comes around, and I played it with my mother-in-law, and my wife likes to play it, and that's Qwirkle. Qwirkle is basically 6 colors, 6 shapes, like Scrabble, except it doesn't take anywhere near as long because no one stares at things for 10 minutes trying to make a word. You essentially have, you put down a row of tiles that have different colors or shapes. And in one row, you can either have all 6 shapes of different colors, or you can have all of the same shape of different colors, or all of the same color, different shapes. All right, I think I messed it up in the beginning. So you can't duplicate anything, and basically you're building just like Scrabble. You put it down one way, and then you build off of those tiles in different directions. Your goal is to get a Qwirkle, which is 6 of one or the other, and that gets you some bonus points. And you just go until the bag is done. It usually plays pretty quick. Like I said, it's like Scrabble. It kind of does the same itch, except you're not staring at 4 T's trying to figure out how you're going to make a word and not wanting to pass. It's a quick, simple game. I actually have this little version here, which is slightly different. And this kind of mixes Qwirkle with Rummy Cube, which is a game that I hate. So that does what Rummy Cube does, which again, Rummy Cube is like Scrabble. People sit there and stare at it for 20 minutes trying to come up with something.
Mess with the whole board.
Yeah, exactly. And Qwirkle does. Nice. So my 2 versions of Qwirkle do what those 2 games do. Eliminates Scrabble off the table, and I never have to pull Rummy Cube out because I can just play that. It's much faster, simpler. So Qwirkle, yeah, that was my cue that was difficult to even come up with.
Interesting. Well, you and JJ basically flip-flopped each other with your main and your backups. So let's go to Tiffany, my babe. What do you have for your letter Q?
So I would be remiss if I didn't mention my runner-up, which was Quarriors. Such a great game, super fun. It was hard not to pick it, but my roots were calling. And so I picked a game that I don't get to play much at all anymore, because I'm a little embarrassed to ask my current game group to play this kind of game with me, because I think they would laugh me out of the game room. But I really do love it. And I remember the last time I played this game, and it was very funny, and we laughed a lot. And to me, I think that's what it's about. It's about making fun memories and having a good time with your friends. So for no further ado, my cue was Quelf.
That's such a fun game.
Yes. Where you do stupid things, and you just try to remember all those different stupid rules you're supposed to follow, and you have a good time with your friend acting like a bunch of idiots, and everybody laughs, and it's just fun. So Quelf.
Excellent.
Well, I think the last time I played that was I couldn't play it again because my voice went out, because I had to talk like a leprechaun or a pirate through the whole game. And it was like the first turn of the game that I got that card, and it never went away. And I was hoarse by the end of the game. So I never played again after that. But yeah, I remember playing Quelf.
Excellent. Well, that was a whole lot of somewhat crossovers in the cues. And, that's excellent. Stephen, what does the geek say the top Q game is?
Well,
why is it Quarriors?
I have to say that, I looked at Qs and I was like, there are probably only about 10 games here that people could choose. There's just not a whole lot of Q games, although there are a lot of good Q games. None of you crossed over with the geek, but I crossed over with the geek, which is to say, Jim Jam, you just went through like 3 bag builders in a row, right? Well, I'm going to do a bag builder too, and also going to do another push your luck game after Port Royal, and that is Quacks of Quedlinburg, right? Which is a very popular game. I think it was even nominated for some awards, maybe won some awards.
Indeed.
I don't know. But essentially, on your turn, you're drawing ingredients out of a bag and you're putting them in your pot. And the push your luck element is that if you draw enough of the bad ingredients out of your pot, out of your bag and put it in your pot, it's going to blow up. And then you have a choice to make. Do you want to take the points or the money for that round? The money allows you to buy new ingredients to add to your bag, right? So that's the bag builder aspect. But at any point, you could just stop. And you can just say, I'm going to stop here. I'm good. And you get to take the points and you get the money to buy new ingredients to put in your bag. So, it's got that cool push your luck element. It's got the bag building thing. It has a lot of variety because all the different ingredients, they have different boards that come with them. So each one of the ingredients has like some special ability or whatever that goes with it. So you can mix those up during different games. I got one of the expansions so that I could just mainly for the 5th player board, but it came with even more variety for the ingredients and some other stuff like witch pennies. There's another expansion too that I don't even have, as you would expect in a popular game. And this was all the rage when it first came out, but and I don't remember how many years ago that was. It could be 5 years ago now. But I still see it played a lot at conventions. Like people, maybe because it's fast, maybe it's because people know how to play it. And it's just sort of a mindless party game or whatever. I really enjoy this game. Now, I will say that I have actually heard some very intelligent arguments to why this is an awful sort of party game. Because it is a simultaneous play push your luck game. And so some people say the fun of push your luck is watching other people push their luck. You want to see them, succeed or fail or whatever. You're cheering for them. You're watching them play craps or whatever. But in Quacks of Quedlinburg, everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, heads down in their own pot or whatever. So I've heard that criticism of the game, and I think it's a legitimate criticism, but I don't care. I still love the game, and so does the Geek, the #1 Q game.
Excellent.
Those people to get more expressive friends, because when I play, when somebody busts, and you definitely know when I bust because everybody's going to hear it.
No, you know when somebody busts, but it's sort of that anticipation. You don't see that. Should I press my luck one more time? And you're like, yeah, you can't stop. Roll the dice again. That kind of thing.
What? Oh, my friend, we do that all the time. I'm like, should I keep going? They're like, yes, keep going. And I'm the one sitting there. Yes, keep going. I have 3. What is it? 7. No, go hit again. Why not?
Nice.
So yeah, we're more expressive in my group. So I have no idea what these people are talking about because we always push it, keep going, do it again. Yeah, everybody's pushing it.
I'm kind of in that group too. I mean, I think I started off the Qs by saying I'd like to play Quacks, but at the same time, I love watching other people. Just off of a little tiny aside here, but Babe and I and 2 friends of ours played Can't Stop on Board Game Arena about a week ago, and it was fantastic. Even on Board Game Arena, just like watching each other roll and laughing at each other. I love that part of pressure luck games. So
that is the best pure pressure luck game right there. Can't stop. Not a Q
it's
game.
Fantastic.
No, not a Q game. I will say that I haven't played Quacks.
Can't stop.
Was sad. I couldn't pick Quacks as my Q game, so because I haven't played it, but it sounds like a game that I'm going to enjoy losing very much.
Yes, and it'll be entertaining for everybody else at the thing.
Both of you will like it, and I will be right there when you guys are like, you want to keep going? I'm the little devil on the shoulder pushing everybody. So
you won't have to encourage me. I'll be like, come on. Everyone will be like, stop.
She'll be like, where's my devil? Where's my devil?
So
all right.
It's a great game. So you guys, I already say you guys are going to like it when you first play it. So.
Excellent. Well, that pretty much wraps up our Qs, which brings us right to the R. As you can well imagine, there are a ton of games that start with the letter R. This is probably one of the most filled letters, I would say, from just the research that I did. I'll tell you what, to stop skipping everybody, I'm going to go in the order they're on in my screen. So, Steve, why don't you start us off with an R?
All right, I'm going to go with a classic card game, and that is Race for the Galaxy. So if you've been listening to the channel, you've heard me talk about Race for the Galaxy before. Really enjoy this game. The symbology is a little cryptic, so it can be hard to get into, but essentially you've got cards, and they're multi-use cards, right? Because every time you want to build a development or settle a planet, there's a cost of doing that. And the cost is basically discarding other cards from your hand. So I really like there's that multi-use aspect. I also liked there's this whole aspect of you want specific phases to trigger in the given round, but you only get to choose one. So you kind of need to pay attention to what everybody else is doing, right? You're like, okay, well, maybe I don't need to choose produce this round because I bet Jim Jam's going to do that. So, I'm going to do development here because I need that development bonus or whatever. So, it's there's a little bit of mind game going on, and the game is super fast if you know how to play, right? So I said it's hard for new players to sort of grasp everything that's going on, conquering a planet versus settling a planet versus development, et cetera. There's and produce and consume, even that whether a planet is a windfall planet or is a produce planet, there's just so many cryptic things like that. But once you know those things, it's just goes fast. I've tried several different strategies in this game, and I've never felt like strategies are broken in that either, well, you have to do this one to win, or this is a definite loser. I feel like you can go military, you can go specific alien, planets. You can, try to settle to fill up your tableau. You can just try to do a quick produce consume engine and hope that you just generate a ton of points before somebody fills up their tableau, or you actually can run the victory points out, which is a pretty interesting way to end the game, right? And you see that occasionally. So yeah, a lot of different paths to victory, a lot of different valid strategies, and it's just a good time. Race for the Galaxy.
Just hearing you talk about it makes me want to go play this game. Dave and I have played so much of Race for the Galaxy on Board Game Arena, and we like you said, especially on the computer, because the computer does everything, you can knock out a game in minutes. So we will pound through, 3 or 4 or 5 games. I'll get on a streak where I'll lose. And I'm like, oh no, we're not going to stop until I win a game. And so we play until I win.
And Board Game Arena explains the symbols to you too. Right?
Yes, you can hover over
Yes, great way to learn.
That's absolutely.
I don't know if there's a mobile version of Race for the Galaxy, but the Roll for the Galaxy mobile game is actually pretty good too.
Hey, good note. I like that game very much too.
Yeah.
So there's pure coincidence on my screen. I swear I am next, but I agree with Steve. My game is Race for the Galaxy. If you've watched, this is another one. If you've watched a lot of our videos, you've seen us talk about Race for the Galaxy. I think it's fantastic. This is the game for me that I use as my example of basically pure tactical card game. It's the one that I compare other games like Terraforming Mars and Ark Nova and things like that. I compare them to Race for the Galaxy because those games have this huge other stuff going on, but at its heart, it's the same, where you draw cards and you do the best you can with those cards. And this is that whole thing distilled down into literally a 10-minute game on Board Game Arena, 8 to 10 minutes. That's what Babe's talking about. We play so much on there because you just rip them off. 8 minutes, you're done. Play again. Okay. Set it up. You're done. Play again. Okay. I've played hundreds of games of this on Board Game Arena. I've probably played it in real life less than 10 times, and I've probably played 500 times. So that ought to tell you how much I played on Board Game Arena. But yes, I absolutely love Race for the Galaxy. It's fantastic. It's a classic, and it'll be in my top for probably ever. As long as it's on Board Game Arena, probably, because I can keep playing it. With that, I'm going to go to JJ, who is third on my screen.
Okay, so honorable mention, I played Race once. I did not like it because I did not understand what was going on. I know there's some of us that talked about not being explained to correctly when they played that game, and everybody just jumping in. But by the end of the game, I was like, oh, that's what I was doing. But then I played Roll for the Galaxy, and I love that game. That is around here somewhere. That game I teach to new people, and they like it as well. It's a great game. I love all the dice. I think dice rolling makes it a little bit easier because you can actually see what actions you're going to do. So I like it a little bit better. Plus, it's all the different color dice and everything like that. That's my honorable mention. Just had to say that Roll for the Galaxy mobile app is pretty good.
And the tiles of Roll for the Galaxy explain everything.
Yes, it says what it does on the tile.
Oh, it doesn't do that on Race?
No, it just gives you symbols, and you have to look at the book to decode them. That's what we're saying, though. But really, play it on Board Game Arena because you can hover over everything, and it tells you what it does, and it makes sense that way. So, but anyway, sorry. On to JJ's actual R game.
Roll on my phone. Okay, so that's my first runner-up. Second runner-up, I just gotta say Resident Evil, the deck builder, because I have all the expansions. I bought it out before the prices went up after they canceled it and everything. Great game. Wish I could play it more. I'm trying to get a tournament going actually with Cory, the long lost member of our group here. So if we can do that, that would be great. But my actual R game, and excuse me one second. Good. Okay. Just spoke to the judges and they say, I can break the rules, which I'm going to. So I am not picking just one game for my R game. It's the whole studio because singularly they suck. But altogether, because I'm a huge geek, I like them. This is Renegade Studios, the Hasbro deck builders that they've all built. Right now, currently, they have G.I. Joe, Transformers, Power Rangers, and they just came out with My Little Pony. If anybody has seen videos for this or has played them, I have all the versions currently out so far, and the Transformers one is my favorite so far. As you can see, I'm a big old Transformers fan, but the Transformers deck builder is the best one. It's really hard to call him a deck builder. Honestly, I have to, excuse me, I have one gripe, and that is Hasbro kind of slapped the properties on the thing and then called it a deck builder. Because, yeah. What? And then Renegade went in, and Renegade makes Clank, so it's really confusing what's going on here. And then they just kind of like let Hasbro, all right, we'll put our name on the game and we'll put it out, and then you guys, just sell the property. So I would say if you get into any of this, because it's going up now, considering they have all the licenses for the game, for these different properties, just make sure you actually like the property. The gameplay is okay. Transformers is the best, but it's weird because you actually have a grid. There's no buy area like in a traditional deck builder. You take in your Transformer, and Optimus Prime is my guy, usually, that or Bumblebee. So you're taking your player, you have a, this is like DC deck builder where you have a large character and they have a special ability. You can actually transform it back and forth, which is pretty cool. And you're moving across a matrix. So depending on how many players you either have like a 5x5 matrix all the way up to like 9 or 11. I think it's 9x9 matrix. And you actually have to go around and land on the card, pay a movement to flip it over, and then you can buy it if it's buyable. So if you're playing as what comes in the box are the Autobots, you're fighting against the Decepticons. So the Decepticons are in the main deck along with cards you can buy. You have to fight them if they get flipped over. And then they have like master bosses or whatever. You have to fight 3 of those and the game's over. You have to do that before the main deck runs out. So it's kind of weird because there's no buy area. You have to go search for the cards. So that's Transformers. And then you have Power Rangers, which is a little bit different because you are once again taking a Power Rangers character and you have their powers, but you are trying to morph them into their Ranger form. Nobody knows anything about Power Rangers. They start out as teenagers with attitude, and then they get a special power from an alien guy, and they can transform into a powered up version of themselves, and then they go and fight in a big old robot. So what you're doing here is it's actually a versus game where there's 2 people, 1 person or 2 people on the Power Rangers team and 1 person or 2 people on the Monsters team. So everybody that knows anything about Power Rangers, you have Rita Repulsa and her team, and then you have Lord Zed that comes in later. You can play as those characters. As you can see, Zeo came out, so they're doing all the Ranger teams. I think RPM comes out next. I have that on pre-order, obviously. And you're fighting against each other. So one team is fighting the good guys versus the bad guys. Rangers are trying to get the Megazord built. The bad guys are just trying to put out an army of their bad guys. So it's different because this one is more Ascension like because when there's actually a buy row, but when the opposing character's card comes out, you can fight them and get victory points and powers like an Ascension type thing. But it's weird because your cards are getting attached to your Ranger or Monster, and then once you get the 4 sides of the card attached, you actually flip it over and you get the powered side, and then at that point it's just a slugfest. This actually I like as a 1 versus 1 because 2 versus 2, you alternate turns, and it's like, are we on the same page or whatever? So I really like this when I'm just doing a 2-player version. So this is the second best in my list, and we can probably do a video or something about this. And then quickly, I'll say that the G.I. Joe version over here, you're sending out Joe's to do a mission. It's hot garbage. It's only good because it's G.I. Joe in a board game, and it's a deck builder. But other than that, I'm not even going to go into it because there's a lot of king making in that, because you're all on the good guys trying to fight Cobra. Like I said, they took the property and they slapped the game on there. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. I bought the second one, but I'm probably done with that one. The other 2 I'll keep buying because actually the Power Rangers one is pretty fun because each team is different on their abilities and stuff. And then, of course, I had the Autobots. So I have to get the Decepticons, obviously. But yeah, so the Renegade board games, Hasbro collection. I don't know about My Little Pony. I'll get back to you on that on later. Wasn't really a property of mine, but Rainbow Dash can beat Starscream. It is official, and they made a YouTube video about it. So
Okay.
That is a lot of our games. Spoiler alert for S. My S is going to be.
I spoke to the judges. They said it's still good.
Spoiler alert. My S is going to be Steven's Game Library.
Yeah, or Star Wars.
I had to. I couldn't just pick one. They're just. I'm a geek. What can I say? They made Power Rangers and Transformers into a deck builder. I love it.
Okay, I got to be a little bit honest with you since you said Bumblebee, because I'm a big idiot. All I got going running through my head is Bumblebee Tuna. Bumblebee Tuna. Bumblebee Tuna. Bumblebee Tuna.
I'll see you guys.
Let's go.
Anyway, moving on with our R. Babe is next up on my screen and next up on our list as well. What do you got for the R game, babe?
So my R game, I'm a little surprised no one said it yet. I mean, I guess I am not surprised with those contenders, but I feel like this is a shoo-in for first place for at least more than just my list, and that's because it's got so many beautiful dice and so many hard decisions, and it's a lot of great fun, and that game is Role Player. So I picked Role Player as my R game. You are building a character that you're going to go on adventures with. You don't actually go on any adventures with them unless you buy the expansion where you go on adventures with them.
And you should do that.
But you are going through the process of creating a character, and you've got these attributes, and you have goals for where these attributes are going to land. So you want to manipulate your dice in a certain way so that you get each different property in the range that you want it to be in. And it's just a lot of fun. It's dice drafting. It's just awesome. So yeah, role player.
Yeah, that's a really good game. That was on my short list for sure. But man, my short list was pretty long for R. There are a lot of good games that start with R.
Same here. I will say, because I always have to say it, the Monsters and Minions expansion for Role Player takes it up another level for me.
I agree.
Still
that
not
really
quite
good
to Race for the Galaxy, but a lot closer.
I agree. Fiends and Familiars is fine, but it's really about Monsters and Minions. That game's really awesome. It is a little bit on the long side, but I think it's worth it. You have a lot of fun. It's one of those I lose my play. That was 3 hours. Wow, kind of a game.
And if they keep making new player boards, race boards or whatever, I will keep buying them. Like promotional content, I will keep grabbing it for that game because it's just fun.
It's just fun. Absolutely. Okay, and then bringing up the rear, Lloyd, what do you have for your R game?
So you guys there's so many great R games. So if I start with what did you pick, Steven? Race, right?
Race, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, see, I played Race. I'll say I played Race.
Yeah.
I was sitting at a table with people throwing cards around, not telling me what was going on, and that was all of Race. So I've never played Race again. Roll, I played Roll, but not enough to remember it. Role Player, I played once, but whoever set it up wrong, and we had the wrong number of dice, so it went really sideways very quickly. So we didn't even get the chance to finish. But I liked what I played, but I played a half a game maybe.
Oh, and, that's too bad.
What did you choose down there, Erock?
I'm with Steve. I'm Race.
Oh, Race. Okay. And so my R lists were super limited because I've played halves of all these games. And I'm not going to go with JJ's because he picked the whole game studio as his. So it came down to the handful of R games that I have played. Raw, which to me is boring. It doesn't do much for me. Yeah, boo. I played Raccoon Tycoon, which was I'd play it again if somebody brought it out, but I don't think anybody will, and I'm not looking for it. A dumb racing
sick
game.
Burn. Nice.
It was a dumb racing game that I got from Sci-Fi City way back. It was on clearance. And it was called Russian Crush. And that was almost my R game because I forgot I have a tiny little R game sitting on my shelf. And it is in the Dungeons and Dragons world, which means nothing to me because I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but it is a stupid party game and it is Rock, Paper, Wizard. So awesome. in Rock, Paper, Wizard, you have a little board. On one side of the board, there's the dragon hoard of gold, and on the other side is spikes. I don't know. You die if you go that way. And the entire game is you have your little character, and you start in the middle, and you're all vying for spaces, trying to get closer to the gold side to collect the point and not get pushed into the pit or whatever the hell's on the other side of the board. And the game is played just like rock, paper, scissors, except every round there's 3 cards out, and those cards are going to cycle after the end of each round. You'll get a new card, but they all have random hand gestures on them. So you're not just playing rock, paper, scissors. You basically fire off one of these hand commands, and sometimes it'll tell you, you point at 2 people, or you point at 1 person, or you point at yourself, or where your fingers are pointing, does different things. And it's just a dumb, quick game. And it's very simple. They've actually, I think, redone it with wrestling themed with WWE. I think it's like rock, paper.
Wrestle.
Is that what it is?
I don't
should
know.
be. Yeah.
And I forgot what they filled in the last, but they did the same thing. Same designer, which is Sen Foon Lim, I think. I don't know if I said his name right, but yeah, so it's a stupid little game, but it was the only other thing that I could pick because I was going to default to Russian Crush, and I really didn't like that game.
No, I didn't either. But as our resident solo expert, have you not played Robinson Crusoe?
No, I have not played.
I think you would like that game, by the way.
Yeah,
I did play Rococo over the weekend, and it won't make the top of the list, but I didn't hate it. So
okay, good.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to play Robinson Crusoe, but I don't own it. And one person I know has it. We've never played because it's one of those ones where it's long and you're going to lose, and a lot of people just kind of veto it.
Well, next time you're on my side of the town, you can borrow mine.
Maybe in another 2 years or so.
That's like
I don't get out there that often.
You would. I think you would like that a lot. It's all themed. That whole game is Robinson Crusoe. I think so. But anyway, last up on our list is Steven. Who did the geek choose? Come on, it's got to be one of us or 2 of us. Come on, tell me it's 2 of us.
Hold on, the judges are talking to me. They say that Jim Jam has to actually talk about an R game. So I'm going to let him talk about the number 1 BGG pick, which is Root.
Oh, Root.
There's an R right there. It's a big old R.
Power Rangers has like 3 R's in it. What are you talking about?
There's an R right there. Okay. All right. So I've actually played Root once, and I did like it. There's a lot going on in there if you have all the sets, which the person that owned the game did. So I have to go in and play all the characters before I can put it on my list because that's what I do. So Root. It is pretty much just a area control battling game. You are a fox or turtle or a skunk or a weasel or a mole or a tiger and an elephant and a bear. Oh my. Not forest animals, not the jungle. At least I don't know there's a jungle version out there. But yes, so you can be a fox or whatever. Pretty much everybody has a bunch of characters on their team. I was the otter team. So the waterway was helpful for me. I could travel up the water and do all the different things. But what was cool was each character has different ways they need to win the game, and then also like a mechanism in order to get more troops out, and they each had a different player power. So that part of the game I really liked. Somebody was the lone person. I forgot what animal it was.
The raccoon.
Raccoon. Yeah. So they could just pop up anywhere and just make you trade the items and stuff. That was cool. So that, as far as I know, that's the only character that's just the one character, not with a team. So basically, you're trying to fulfill the objective on your player board and try to win the game. Each character has a different power. The only negative I have to say is it's a high learning curve. If you've never played the game before, and three of the five people that played with us had never played before, including myself. I figured out the otters pretty easily. I liked them because you have to buy stuff from them, and they, can take one of your people and use it for different things. But the other two people were a little bit newer to board games, and they took long. It took a long time because just waiting. So you can actually play a side game while you're playing Root, because the other people, you have to go around and then you have to battle people and see how they're, kind of reminded me of like Twilight Imperium in that sense. It's just really long turns. So that was my only gripe, but I would play it again and try a different character and see how that goes. But it's a very cute game. So if you like little cutesy things and you like battling other people, Root is your game.
You're right. It is. I'm sorry. It is incredibly cute. Like, it's so cute that it kind of like fools you into expecting a different kind of game, because really it's a war game. It's a war game for non-grognards.
Yeah, really water shit down the board game.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't beat my Everdale though. That's my only thing.
But before coronavirus permanently closed the game store where I met semi-regularly with a group, this was all the rage. It was there every time I went in there. This was on one of the tables somewhere. And I've also been told that some of the roles are a lot harder than others to play. So you kind of really need to know that and give the easier roles to the newer players.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's a great game. I'll try it and get back to everybody on what I think of all the characters.
I would like to play this. This is on my to play list.
It's on our shelf, never been played. Plus a tiny little shout out to Qwirkle, who I think makes unbelievably interesting game concepts. So you go, Cole. Also, while we're in the, let me do this first. All right, that was pretty much our list for R, which wraps us up with PQ and R this week. We want to thank you once again for joining us. We very much appreciate you tuning in. If you like us, give us a thumb, give us a subscribe, come and join our Discord channel. We're going to have a link up here for that. We'd be happy to argue with you all day about who was right, who was wrong, and what you think our choices should have been. So that's what I'm saying. Basically, my little thing here is 3 of my shortlist R games were Race for the Galaxy, Roll for the Galaxy, and Res Arcana. Those are all Tom Lehman games. And I don't think he'll show up on any other letter ever. You know what I'm saying? How weird is that?
I don't know. Freedom and Freeze probably was mostly on one letter too.
Right? Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So awesome. Well, guess we wound that one down. Babe, say something awesome.
I have nothing.
Oh, babe.
That's awesome.
Come on, kids, let's sing the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I will never forget how to say the alphabet. That was fun.